Last topic of the day here, another move that's kind of been influenced by, not kind of, has been influenced by a hire in the NFL, as Matt Wells is going to call plays for Kansas State. Their offensive coordinator, Conor Riley, took the offensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys. So the Cowboys plucking two college coaches here in Junior Adams for the receivers coach and Conor Riley as offensive line coach. But Matt Wells, a guy who has been a head coach a couple times before at Utah State and Texas Tech, had a really good run at Utah State. Texas Tech wasn't a great run there for him, but a guy who's thought of very highly in the offensive world. Interestingly enough, has only called plays one time on paper in his career. I have a feeling he had a lot of influence on play calling throughout his career either way, but on paper, this is only going to be the second time that he's calling plays.
Yeah, a couple layers to this. Similar to what we just talked about, right? With Junior Adams going to the Cowboys, now Conor Riley going to the Cowboys to coach offensive line. Are assistants going to feel the pain of this house settlement where more of the revenue is being shared with the players, money that previously went to rising assistant coach salaries? That's something to keep in mind. Another part of this is you're switching from an offensive line coach calling plays to a quarterback coach calling plays. And the more I talk to people, college coaches, people in this business, they point out things like that an offensive coordinator with an offensive line background is going to call plays different. They're going to call more max protect because they want the offensive line to look good. They're going to run the ball more if they are able, because offensive line coaches love to run the ball. Offensive linemen love to run the ball. So the way an offensive line coach views the game when he's calling plays can be very different from the way a quarterback coach and a former quarterback views it. Not always. Sometimes it goes the other way, right? Look at Jim Harbaugh and how he calls plays, and maybe like an Andy Reid, but there is something to that. And I think with Matt Wells being a pure quarterback guy, played quarterback, coached quarterbacks, was involved with Avery Johnson really developing as a passer last year, could we see more of a passing game as Avery Johnson heads into his third year, clearly angling to be an NFL quarterback than you've seen in the past with Chris Kleiman in this program?
Yeah, and again, at Texas Tech, obviously, it was kind of in the middle of the COVID stretch there, so it was a weird time for everyone. But first year in 2019 went 4-8 there. Second year 4-6, and then actually was 5-3 in his third year, and then got fired after a loss to Kansas State. So that was the loss that got him fired when they were 5-3, and it looked like maybe kind of turning things around. But regardless, gets an opportunity here to kind of right those wrongs and back in control of the offense.
Yeah. Now, again, this running game doesn't need a lot of help. It was one of the best running games in the country. You talk about the truly elite running games at the Power 4 level. I think you're talking about Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State, Miami when they chose to run. I'd put them in that category. But Kansas State was maybe at the top of the list because of the ability to run explosively at quarterback and running back, right? They had the ability to crank up long runs at both positions, and they had a great scheme. Conor Riley, Chris Kleiman, everybody did a great job. So how do you keep that intact while also becoming more prolific as a passing program? I think that's going to be the challenge for Wells, because you don't want to lose your identity in the process, right? It's one thing to say we want to pass better and be more of a passing team and develop Avery Johnson as a passer. It's another thing to say, we're going to lose our identity and become something totally different than what we were built on and what we had so much success with. So, just looking at the stats here, Kansas State yards per passing attempt, they were 68th in the country at 7.3 yards per attempt. And traditionally that's a higher number when you're a running team because, all the play action opportunities. But then yards per rush attempt, first in Power 4, 5.9, right above Boise State, Ashton Genty, Notre Dame. Genty, I got it right there. We get so much heat for our pronunciations. Notre Dame right behind there, 5.7. Miami behind that at 5.6. So Kansas State right at the top of the heap when it comes to yards per rush attempt. But how can they get that yards per pass attempt number higher. And look, it's not just the efficiency. They're probably going to be passing it more. In terms of yards per game passing, Kansas State was 78th, which is really a reflection to me of volume and how much they're throwing it. So those are two stats to watch as Kansas State tries to diversify their offense, not lose their identity. They don't want to drop in that yards per rush category. They want to stay number one, but passing it more. I think Wells, people around Utah State, we talked to people, no nonsense guy, but well respected from his time at Utah State. Certainly.
Oh, and remember, Jordan Love was a guy who developed under him, and obviously has been a big success story. And look, the word is that Matt Wells had a big, part to say on the game plan last season, right? So Conor Riley was calling the plays, but Wells was a big part of it. And look, hopefully you can have that same sort of success if you're a Kansas State fan with Avery Johnson next season. It'll be fun to watch if you're a Kansas State fan, and things continuing to move in the right direction there, I think.
And I've seen playoff projections with Kansas State in there. Obviously, the Big 12 is a mystery.
Wide open,
we saw this year. Avery Johnson as experienced and as talented as anybody in that conference. So that's going to be something to watch.
All right, Kansas State fans, college football fans, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Again, this is our daily show, Group Chat Football Live. We talk about the biggest news in college football. And remember to put those notifications on for us as well, because we have this big, daily show. But if something happens throughout the day, we will go live to cover it and hang out with us, ask questions, all that good stuff. So appreciate everyone who is on with us today. See you guys tomorrow.